This is the Applied Legal Research Microcertificate LLM Studies in the United States, a Common Law Legal System course. My name is Brittany Husted, and I'll be the instructor for this course. Prior to joining Lexis over 6 years ago, I was a litigation practitioner, so I understand the importance of finding and using precedential case law to build your case. Our learning objectives. Upon completion of this module and quiz, you'll be able to understand how to conduct case law research in a common law legal system and use a relevant case to find additional authority. We're going to use a hypothetical to walk through this course. Your firm represents Taystar Toy Co., a family-run conglomerate of the toy family with business in various industries, including toy manufacturing. The company is facing a product liability lawsuit in California. The lawsuit claims that one of Taystar's popular action figures contains a design flaw that allegedly caused injury to a child. The plaintiff asserts that the toy's detachable parts pose a choking hazard despite the product meeting all required safety standards at the time of the release. We maintain that the toy was thoroughly tested and adheres to all regulations, and that the injury was a result of improper usage rather than a manufacturing defect. We need to conduct research to see what the law is when asserting misuse as a defense in California. Before we go into Lexis to start our research, first, let's go over what it means to be a common law legal system. The U.S. follows a common law legal system, meaning that its legal principles and rules are developed through the decisions made by courts over time, rather than being solely based on written statutes or codes. In this system, judges interpret and imply laws, and their rulings create precedents, which are then binding on future cases. This allows the law to evolve gradually based on past judgments, ensuring consistency and fairness. While statutes and regulations passed by legislatures also play a crucial role, the common law tradition emphasizes the importance of judicial decisions in shaping legal outcomes. All right, so now that we have an understanding of what it means to have a common law legal system, let's go into Lexis to start our research. We're going to start our case law research by running a search in the search bar in legal research. You can always run a natural language search, which is like our everyday conversational language, or you can run a terms and connectors or Boolean search. So we are going to run a Boolean search here to have more control over our search and find results that are relevant more quickly. If you need a list of terms and connectors, you can always go to advanced search underneath the search bar here. So I want to include the terms product liability, as well as misuse. Now I want to add a connector. So in my search results, our terms product liability and misuse will appear close to each other in the cases, making it easier to find cases that are on point for me. So between product liability and misuse, I am going to add /s here. That means within the same sentence. So in my search results, product liability and misuse must appear in the same sentence or within 25 words of each other. I also want to add a jurisdictional filter. Since our case is in California, I only want California law to appear in my search results. So I'm going to go to all jurisdictions and just select California. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and click the magnifying glass to run my search. All right, so we have 71 results here. The case results list is sorted by relevancy. So the system will show which cases are most relevant based on our search terms. I can also use my search term maps. These are the different colors highlighting my terms. So blue shows for product liability and red is misuse. And when I go down to my results list, I can use those search term maps to see exactly where in these cases they are discussing my search terms. So it makes it efficient to see if a case is on point for what I am looking for. Another really useful tool for finding seminal cases, which means cases that have significant impact on the law, is Ravel View. So Ravel is up here in the top right-hand corner. I think it looks kind of like a diorama of the solar system, kind of like a spider web. I've heard that before. So let's go ahead and click into Ravelview. So once you click into Ravelview, it takes your top 75 cases, or here, all 71 of our cases, since we have less than that, and puts them into this graph. So each bubble on this graph represents a case. The bigger the bubble, the more times that the case has been cited to. So the bigger bubble shows that it's probably a seminal case, meaning it's had a lot of impact on this issue in California. So because we are filtered to California here, we are only seeing California cases. It's up here at the top, and it's also represented by just showing state court cases here. On the x-axis, you have the timeline, so you can see how recent these cases are as well. So if you hover over the biggest bubble that we have here, it shows me that this is the Chavez v. Glock case. And if I click on it, it appears over here on the right-hand side. I can see that this was the second case in our results list by relevance. So I can also see this summary right here, and then I can see the highlighted terms that they discuss product misuse quite a bit. There are also the lines that are connecting this bubble, meaning this case, to other bubbles, meaning other cases. The colors of the lines reflect the Shepherd signals, and you can see that down here. So this shows whether a case has treated our case positively, negatively, or is neutral. Blue means neutral, so we are seeing a lot of neutral cases here. All right, let's go ahead and click into the Chavez case. All right, so when I get into my case here, the first thing that I'm going to want to do is read the case summary to see if this case is on point for me. Then we'll go down to the headnotes. These are the rules or the points of law from the case. And I'm going to scroll down a bit since I've already looked at this before. But I can see that headnote 18 talks about product misuse. And as we saw within our search results, our search terms are still highlighted, making it even easier to find where this case is discussing my search terms. So once again, product liability and misuse. So I'm going to go ahead and click down to headnote 18, where they are discussing product misuse. So I can just click right here where it says HN 18, and it brings me right to that portion of the case that is talking about my search terms. So now that we see this case is, again, discussing product misuse, which we are trying to argue in our case. And I can also use case law tools to find more cases that discuss this same issue. So when we are working on our case and finding case law, we also want to find other cases that can make our argument stronger. So that's why we use case law tools. So if you hover over this passage, this magnifying glass is going to pop up. This is called More Like This Passage. So More Like This Passage uses artificial intelligence to identify cases saying something highly similar to a relevant passage in our case, whether or not they use the same keywords or whether or not they cite to each other. They understand that they're discussing the same types of topics. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. So once you click on it, you can trim the passage to find exactly what you need. But I'm just going to go ahead and select More Like This Passage. So here it understands that my jurisdiction is California, so it's giving me other results in California. I could go ahead and select this dropdown and change it if I wanted to, but because we are looking in California, we need precedential cases in California, so we want to keep that setting as is. So here you can see cases it recommends based on the topic in this passage, which again is discussing product misuse. So it is a great jumping off point to find other cases that could be relevant to me. It also gives you secondary materials based on the same issue as well. Another useful tool is called Legal Issue Trail. So over here on the right-hand side, there's this arrow at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and click on that arrow a couple times, to find legal issue trail. So then once you click on activate passages, boxes will appear. This purple dotted line will appear around different passages in the case. So if you click on any of these boxes, I can go ahead and click on this box right here. It is going to take you to more cases for the same issue. So this first section right here, this is going to show the case or cases, if there are multiple, that Chavez cited to for this issue. So Chavez is the case that we are in, and this is the case, this McCabe case is the one that Chavez cited to for this issue. Then this next section is going to show the cases that came after Chavez that cited to Chavez for this issue. So once again, it's another great tool to find more relevant cases for the specific issue that you are researching. Let's go back to our case here. The last case law tool I want to show you is Shepardized by headnote. So let's go back down to our headnotes here. Once again, let's look at headnote 18 on product misuse. If you click on Shepardized by headnote right here underneath the headnote, it's going to bring you to the Shepard's report. You use Shepard's to verify that the case is still good law. You can also use Shepard's to find more cases on point for you. So here, because we already narrowed to headnote 18, these cases cite to Chavez because of the discussion of product misuse. So you can see that we have 13 case decisions here that are citing to Chavez for that issue. So now we can use this list as a great jumping off point to find more cases that could help our argument that the toy was misused and therefore our client is not liable in this case. All right, so now that we've run a search, looked at a case, looked at some case law research tools, I now want to show you how you can utilize Lexis+ AI, now called Protege, which is available right on top of legal research here. Protege has 4 tasks: ask a legal question, draft, you can use it to draft a memo, a client email, a complaint, an agreement, and more. Summarize, you can summarize cases as well as statutes. And you have documents. This is where you can upload documents to explore their insights, compare them, ask questions. We're going to be focusing on ask a legal question. You can use this feature to get your answers to your questions regarding the misuse defense in product liability cases and find case law to support your argument. So I'm going to go ahead and put my prompt or my question into Protege. So I'm going to ask, what do you need to assert misuse as a defense in a product liability case in California? So because I already put my jurisdiction here, I don't have to put it in again. You don't have to put it in the question. You could select it from here if you wanted to, or if you're just trying to get general knowledge about the law, you don't have to select a jurisdiction at all. You also have the option to select based on publication status. Most of the time, you're going to be looking for published and reported decisions, since those are the cases that courts look to for precedential value. And then you also have this legal classification if you just want to look at civil cases or criminal content. It is up to you if you want to select that. But here, we're not going to select either of those. We're just going to go ahead and run our prompt here. All right. So right now, Protege is combing through the content it has been trained on to give us an answer. So it's been trained on cases, statutes, regulations, secondary sources, practical guidance materials. That's going to be that step-by-step guidance on how to complete a task. It's also been trained on agency decisions, as well as federal and state constitutions and court rules. So it's combing through all of that content to give us an answer to our prompt here. So as it finds an answer to my prompt, it starts to type it out for me. So it's going to start by giving me an answer to my question here, my prompt. So it says to assert misuse as a defense in a product liability case in California, the defendant must prove that the misuse was the actual cause of the plaintiff's injury, not merely a contributing factor. This means demonstrating that the misuse, rather than any defect in the product, was the proximate cause of the injury. And the really nice thing about Protege is that it then links to the content that it is referring to. So I can verify these cases right here because it links right in my answer. Then underneath my response, it also gives me, once again, those cases that it cited to, as well as any other relevant sources here. So this one's going to be a treatise. And within cases, it also gives me the shepherd signals. So one, I can verify that this is a real case, and then I can also verify the shepherd signal. So is this still good law? Then I can also go to view related material down here. This is going to lead you to all of the content that Protege considered in its response. So here I have 47 cases, 23 statutes, 3 practical guidance materials, and 15 treatises. So this is a really great jumping off point to further your research, because as you can see, here are 47 cases that I can then use that could be helpful as I'm researching product misuse for our case here. All right, so once I go back, the really nice thing about Protege as a generative AI tool is that it's conversational. So you can ask follow-up questions. And it understands that you are asking based on your first prompt. So it's like having a conversation with a human. There are even suggested follow-up questions down here based on your original prompt. So if you're not sure what question to ask next, this helps point you in the right direction. Or you can ask your own follow-up question. So I'm going to ask my own follow-up question here. I'm going to ask the system to find cases where the court found that the plaintiff misused the products and the defendants were not liable. You can also click this stop response button. If maybe you're looking at your prompt again and you don't love how you phrased something, you can go ahead and select stop response, and you don't have to wait for it to type out the whole answer to start over. Just click on that and you can create a new prompt here. So now with this response, it gives me quick summaries of these cases here, which can be helpful as you prepare for your product liability case and assert product misuse as a defense. So with Protege, you can ask 10 total questions within your original ask question or any of the other tasks that we mentioned. So you have 1 original prompt and 9 follow-up prompts. So here, if you wanted to continue going, I could ask an additional follow-up prompt to continue my legal research. So now you know how to understand how to conduct case law research in a common law legal system and use a relevant case to find additional authority. Upon successful completion of the LLM studies in the United States, a common law legal system quiz, you will receive your micro certificate. If you want to learn more or need research assistance, reach out to your Lexis rep to schedule a training session or contact customer support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 1-800-45-LEXIS.